Welcome back. The preliminary stages discussed in the previous video are important, but don't ensure total success going into the editing process. To help that come along is the practical side of shooting with a green screen. To start this off, we'll look at the importance of your camera and its setup. Your camera setup holds a great deal of weight in the eventual quality of your footage. Whilst that might sound obvious, it's more thorough than just turning your white balance onto auto. Shooting in the highest picture quality in all aspects is advised. The way your footage is stored is important here. For the best results, find a storage device that will keep your files raw, as opposed to compressed. Raw files will be of much higher quality, but can take up some serious space. So remember to have a backup card just in case. Whilst some more technical terms can be intimidating whilst you're still wrapping your head around video production, one term you should try to familiarise yourself with before green screening is aperture. Aperture is simply how much light your lens is letting into the shot. Using the f4 or f5.6 settings of your aperture is what most green screen editors advise. This setting will help to give a slightly bigger depth of field, which will make your life easier during the post-production process. You can also minimise the risk of any motion blur appearing on your footage by raising your shutter speed to 180 or 1/100. Lastly, try to avoid using too high of an ISO, as this could interfere with an important stage in the editing process. Now we'll look at lighting design. The first step of planning your lighting design for a green screen shoot is to decide whether the environment you will be projecting onto the green screen is inside or outside. Lighting isn't the same inside as it is outside, and if you were to edit a subject to be standing outside, whilst clearly being lit indoors, it shows, thereby making the quality of your edit lesser. If emulating an outside environment, the best practice is to use a 3-light setup. This consists of a hair light or backlight, which helps to further separate the subject from the green screen. Key light. This should be positioned facing the subject, but marginally to the side. It is responsible for the main beam of light used in your shot. The fill light. This can be substituted using a reflector. Its purpose is to shine more light onto the darker side of the subject's face. If you are emulating an inside environment, a 2-light setup may be better suited. This consists of a light facing the subject to the left and a second light also facing the subject to the right. Ensure that the lighting on the green screen is a corner to corner, avoiding a lighter and darker side, maintaining even highlight whether shooting with 3 lights or 2. Once your camera and lighting design knows the stakes, it's time to look at the subject positioning. This can be tricky, depending on what you have planned. In any case though, it's very important to have your subject as far away from the green screen as possible. This will help to avoid any spilling onto their skin. Spilling is what it says on the tin. If the subject is too close to the luminant shade of green, the light reflects the hue onto the subject at the edges. Positioning the subject as far from the green screen as possible will not only help to avoid spilling, but will also create a better depth of field. In accordance with your lighting setup, look out for shadows casted by the subject, because you'll now have to key out multiple shades of green instead of just the one standard block. Where this can become tricky depends on whether you have any camera movement planned in your shot. In any scenario, filming with a tripod is a must for the sake of stability and consistency in the edit, but movement can be introduced with a dolly and track or zooms, although doing so will create more work in the edit, as you'll have to mask the movement whilst keying.